Hello. Um, Actually, I just remembered that I always forget to say that people tell me every time, and I still forget. If you're watching the replay, thank you for watching. Um, I am gonna wait for somebody to come on so that I know that my volume is working. And I'm gonna put my headphones on before I start the show. I can see that somebody's watching, so if you can just comment to let me know that you can hear me, I can start. I don't want to start without knowing that everything can be heard. Well, I don't know how long it's gonna be. Shannon. Tonight I am not with Heidi, clearly. So I figured I'd try to talk a little bit about the topic that we didn't get to talk much about the other night. And the original intent was for the shows to be a half hour long, but we'll see. I don't know. So, first things first, Heidi is no longer going to be on common ground because she's got a lot going on, and the times that I'm available to do the show, she's not. So, scheduling conflict. We tried it; it didn't work. So, hopefully, I'll be able to find somebody else to stick to the whole left and right unite theme that I'm trying to do here. But for now, I think it's going to be me. I'm going to try to bring on guests as much as I can. I know that I have a guest for Monday. So that's exciting. But for now, I'm just going to call the show Common Ground because I don't have a leftist to argue with or have constructive conversations with. So on Wednesday night, the topic was supposed to be toxic activists, and we got a little distracted and derailed from that conversation because we had some trolls in the comments, and I gave, sorry, my hair's in my face. I gave a little bit too much attention to those trolls. So I've decided that when I do have a topic for the show, that I'm not going to look at the comments while I'm discussing the topic. I'm just going to wait until the end of the show and address any questions or comments or anything that people have at the end. So if I'm done discussing whatever said topic is for the night, then, and it's before 10:30 or, whatever time I'm done talking about the topic, then I'll spend like the last few minutes going over the comments. So that's that. So tonight I'm going to talk about, I put multiple topics for tonight because, since I'm not since I'm not having a conversation with somebody, I don't know that the topic of toxic activists will take up a whole half hour. And there's other things on my mind too, because I spoke at a city council hearing last night, and a lot of things have happened since Wednesday. And then I could probably also give a little background on who my guest is going to be on Monday. So, what is a toxic activist? Toxic activist to me is somebody who is a detriment to the cause, whatever the cause may be. regardless of, political issue, or even if it's not a political issue, although I tend to think that like everything is a political issue. I think that no matter what, we're all forced to be political at some point. Even if we want to act like we don't care about politics, the politics are what determines everything. So I just need to send one text. A toxic activist, somebody who is detrimental to the cause, somebody who, by detrimental to the cause, I mean their actions have a negative effect on the outcome of anything that I don't know if I would say group, anything that other activists who are fighting for the same cause are doing. So an example would be somebody who, usually when people go and do public actions, there's some level of planning involved, and, levels of agreement and understanding that people have amongst each other, that, we have certain lines and boundaries that, we don't want to do certain things that might put people in risky situations. And I mean, a risky situation could be something that, just makes the group look bad, or something that gets somebody hurt, or, in a physical altercation, or getting somebody, arrested. Who knows? There could be a list of things that somebody could do during a public action that hurt the cause. So, even some things that might seem so simple as, doing something that gets bad media coverage. I mean, I don't trust the media anyway. I think that a lot of people would agree with me that the media spins things a lot and makes things look like something that they're not. So, we can't trust the media as far as we can throw them. However, we shouldn't allow for errors to be made if they're avoidable, right? So, I mean, there's been situations where maybe one person out of a group of, 30 to 50 people is yelling some type of profanity or something super offensive or racist or something like that. That reflects on the whole group, so maybe the media was there, maybe they were going to cover, what a great and, friendly group of people this was, fighting for this cause, but now this one person went and said something racist, and that's what they're going to focus on. That's detrimental. It takes the focus off of, your messaging, and it's a bad reflection on everybody. So that's one example of a toxic activist. And then we have the and I would refer to that person as a liability. And then we have the talkers, the do nothing activists, the ones who talk a big game, but you don't ever see them actually out there taking action on anything. So, which, I mean, we've seen that. We've seen that with the majority of people over the past 3 years who, were upset about one thing or another to do with the elections, the mandates, the lockdowns, all of these things over the past 3 years, where so many people took to social media to complain about these things. And then, when people started going out and, raising public awareness and protesting, or, having demonstrations and rallies and all that stuff, these people don't show up, but then somebody has a campaign event, fundraiser, or a dinner party where there's speakers and everybody sits in a hall and has dinner and complains and complains and complains about how bad everything is, and then you listen to all these speakers talk about we're going to fight and we have our constitutional rights, and everything that these government officials are doing is a violation of our rights, and then you don't see those people after the party, or until the next social event. So it's like, I don't consider you fighting for anything if the only time anybody ever sees you is when you're showing up to a social event. And, social events tend to be the most attended things. So that's really annoying. So the do nothing ones, those are, I think the do nothing ones are probably worse than the liabilities, because like it's like not even having that person involved anyway, because they're not showing up for anything. And then we have I don't think I have a name for the next one. I would probably say that it's like maybe controlled opposition, where it's somebody who claims to be for your cause, on your side, in the fight with you, but when you take action on something, they tell you you're doing too much, you're being too aggressive, you're too loud, you're not being respectful to whoever it is that you're opposing. That is super, super toxic, because I will be damned if I'm calling myself a fighter and I'm not fighting. So these people will try to tame you. They'll try to tell you, that I think the saying is you get more flies with honey or bees with honey or something like that. Like, it helps to be, kind and polite and sweet, because more people will pay attention to you, or more people will want to engage with you. I don't know about anybody else who claims to be an activist or a fighter, especially on the right side, because I feel like they call themselves fighters, but they stray away from the word activist. A lot of them, I feel like, look at the term activist as though it's like a leftist thing. I mean, I would consider you an activist if you are somebody who is, doing public action to promote a cause or to fight against something. Then you're an activist. It doesn't have to mean that it's your full-time job, like some of us, or that, it's what you do all day, every day, or even every week, who knows. An activist is just somebody who fights for a cause, and there's many ways to fight. But I feel like the right-wing people tend to think of activists as a left-wing thing, and they call themselves fighters. I'm not sure what you're fighting if you think that the human rights violations that have been happening over the past 3 years are not something to be visibly angry about. They're not something that we should be like in the streets screaming about. They've been abusing our children. They've been abusing us. They've been violating our rights. They've been coercing people to get, what? They've been lying. They've been risking people's lives. They've been, lying to people to get people to risk their lives. They've been taking people's jobs away. I mean, I don't know what more they have to do to get people angry, but I'm fucking angry. And I feel like everybody who understands what's going on should be angry. And I don't know how else you're supposed to express anger than to be mad. And free speech is free speech. Okay. It doesn't have to be nice. It doesn't have to be respectful. It doesn't have to be, free of profanities. When I see a public official in the street that is a known human rights violator, I'm not going to bite my tongue. I'm not going to address them in a proper way. I'm going to yell so that whoever's around can hear what I'm saying. So if they're not aware, they're going to be aware now. And I'm going to make them feel uncomfortable, and I'm going to shame the shit out of them, especially if they don't acknowledge me, because that's what you're supposed to do. That's like, these were the rights given to us by our forefathers. They told, they wrote the Constitution so that we were protected to express dissent with our government. If we are not pointing out the flaws in government, we are doing ourselves a disservice. We're doing our children a disservice. If we're not fighting the fight now, we're leaving the fight to our children. So, yeah, if you are somebody who claims to be a freedom fighter and you think that what I do as far as protesting, being arrested, or, getting in the media, making a bad look for myself, you think that that's too much, I'm not leaving this up to my kids, and if you're a parent and you think that I'm doing too much, then shame on you. Because what else is there to do when somebody's violating your rights? What else is there to do when you're a parent trying to secure a future for your child? You're a piece of shit if you are fine with ignoring this and leaving the fight to your child. Yeah, silence is consent. Silence is consent. Silence is complicity. You are agreeing. It's tacit agreement. If you don't speak up, then you're agreeing. So you can tell me that you're against the jab. You can tell me that you're against the lockdowns. You can tell me, you can make social media posts. You can show up to parties and social gatherings. You can, donate to political campaigns. But if you're not taking public action and raising awareness and doing everything that you can, that you're like physically able to do, and that you're going to shame another person who is doing all these things, don't tell me that you're a fighter. Don't tell me that you're anything, it doesn't make any sense. Why do we remember Paul Revere, Sam Adams, etc.? It's because they spoke publicly and were loud and proud of it. Yeah. So Paul Revere, the story that we actually learn in school, which is strange because I feel like we don't learn much truth when learning about history in school, is that Paul Revere, well, I mean, it's not truth. He didn't say the British are coming. He said something else, right? Like the redcoats or something. I don't know what he said, but the British are coming, right? He rode through town screaming and yelling to warn people. He didn't care about his image. He didn't care that people might mock him for looking like an idiot riding through town to, be a crazy man and tell them what was going on. He cared about getting everybody prepared for what was happening, and that's what's necessary. To think about all of the censorship. I mean, the majority of everybody's communications now is online, which, first of all, that's disgusting in and of itself. People are not conversating face to face. People are not speaking to people in the streets, it's been so normalized to just like isolate in your home, not talk to strangers. Like nobody's friendly anymore. Everything is a left or right issue. If you're in a certain place without a mask on, people are looking at you funny, judging you. Which, I mean, if I'm anywhere and you're wearing a mask, know that I'm fucking judging you, of course. But people aren't friendly with each other anymore, and we can't talk to each other. So we pretty much, on both sides of the political spectrum, are in our own little bubbles, echo chambers, where we're not being heard by anybody but ourselves. And we've been doing this for 3 years. So, I mean, even this live stream that I'm doing right now, without Heidi on here, I don't anticipate anybody from the left side seeing this. So I would assume that if I were to try to talk about things that have happened for the past 3 years and try to get some information out there that somebody who may have been more leaning left might not have heard yet, those people aren't in here because I'm speaking into an echo chamber right now, and then, it's important to get the message out there. Let me look at the comments a little bit. Yeah, Shannon says these people have no right to use the word fighter. They're, like you said before, freedom talkers or spectators, and they are. And what makes these freedom talkers even worse is when they will gossip to other freedom fighters about what they think of, the ones who are fighting. Like, oh, speculating. Oh, they were protesting in front of the mayor's house, and that's just disrespectful, and like, who does that? And all kind, like, she closed City Hall. Where are we gonna go? She threatened tens of thousands, if that's an accurate number. It could be more than that, but I'm assuming tens of thousands of city workers with their jobs. She was going to take away their jobs if they didn't get the job. And then she gets to go home every night and, like, sleep fine. Like, why? Would you feel the same way if it were your job on the line? I mean, so many people moved out of Boston or got jobs outside of Boston to avoid having to, like, come to that day where the decision was made, which, like, there's still a mandate, like, or it's still possible for there to be a mandate. The lawsuits didn't save it. There was an injunction that put it on pause, but they still have the possibility of having those mandates. So if she's ruining people's lives, not just Michelle Wu, anybody, if any public official is using their power to, let me stop myself right there, because public officials shouldn't have power. That's where we fucked up in the first place. Public officials are supposed to represent us when dealing with legislation, zoning, like, things about the land that needs to be regulated, right? They're not supposed to be our bosses. And over the past few decades, I feel like the generation of my parents and younger, we have ignored the politicians. We've ignored what they're doing. We're not paying attention to anything that we're doing. And somewhere, we just let them become what they are now, powerful little tyrants. There's people that stay in office for their entire lives we just keep voting back in the same people just because that's who we're familiar with. I feel like the average person votes for who they're familiar with. I always say, like in Boston, all you got to do to get a vote is show up and support their business and shake their hand, take a picture with them, and they're going to vote for you. Just fucking smile and nod at everything that they say. And they don't even have to know what your policies are. They just want to be able to say, hey, I know that guy, you know? And we let them get here. We let this happen. It didn't happen by accident. It didn't happen, all of a sudden. It's been like this. We treat them like they have authority over us when it's the opposite. They work for us. And this is another thing where you hear a lot on the right side is you work for us. We pay your paycheck. You're on the taxpayer dollar. Like, don't tell me what you're gonna do. Blah, 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 blah. But I don't see anybody in their faces telling them that. That's the thing. I don't see anybody. I mean, over the past year, I have been to dozens of city council meetings and hearings in Boston, and I don't see anybody doing what we're doing. I don't see anybody, you know, stepping up and fighting the fight. I see people doing a whole lot of complaining and then not showing up. Shannon says these others gossip and spread fear about us and direct action because they aren't willing to take necessary risks needed to win. And they don't like looking and feeling stupid, being cowards. Right. There's a lot of people with big egos and a lot of people who want to be that guy, right? They want to be the one that everybody's like, this happened because so and so took the first step. This happened because so and so did whatever action, right? So this isn't about fame or glory or any of that. And I come to this conversation so many times with people on the right because I call people out when they're fucking things up for other people. So there have been quite a few instances where I've called people out publicly and they have turned it into Catherine wants everything to be about Catherine, or, Catherine and her group want everything to be about them. And, they want to be famous, or they want the credit for everything. And then, like, I have mentioned credit, but everybody always wants to spin it into they want to take credit for everything, but it's not that. It's don't take the credit for something that I or we or she or he has done, or they has done when you didn't do it, when you didn't have a part in it. Don't step on my toes when I'm the one doing the work. Like, you weren't there. So if you want to tell the story of what we did, go ahead and tell the story. If you want to brag that this is something that happened in your state, go ahead and brag that this is something at your state. If you want to brag that the people who did it, go ahead and brag that the people who did it. But don't fucking say that you're involved when you're not involved. Don't say that something was your idea when it wasn't your idea. And that doesn't mean that you have to say that it was anybody's idea. It's your choice to talk about what you want to talk about. If you want to talk about protests happening and not give credit to the people doing it, that's whatever. Who cares? But don't say that don't try to take the credit for something that you didn't do. It's disgusting. It's laughable. It's fucking gross. Like, and it's always coming from somebody who's so quick to judge us when we didn't do a great job. If somebody sees something where they think that we fucked up, it's like, like they love to claim us and brag about us when we've done something that got a lot of people talking, or, got some great media coverage or something. But then, as soon as we do something that's frowned upon by people, or, people are like, they don't support it or they don't like the tactics or whatever the case is, then they're quick to judge and talk shit. So it's like 1 second, oh, we're super effective. They love what we do. They're cheering us on. The next second, oh, why do they act like that? Why do they do that? Why are they so like, you know, loud or disruptive or rude and blah blah like I would never do something like that. Or, they're fighting with cops. I don't fight with cops. I assert my rights. And like, I don't know why my hair is doing this today, but I assert my rights. And a police officer has no authority over me. Having a badge and a uniform does not make him my fucking boss. These people work for us. They don't have authority over you. For some reason, people don't understand that concept. If a police officer tells me to fucking do something, I have every right under the sun to question him, to ask why I'm being made to do something. It doesn't matter how fucking severe or simple the thing is. I have every right to question what he's telling me to do. Don't just blindly do something. It's a perfect example is when we were at Desi back in May of 2021, and the police officers told me that I needed to move out of the doorway. And I said, no, I don't have to. Like, the building's open. I'm holding the door open. I'm not blocking the entrance or anything like that. And Karina said, why does she have to move? The cop said, because I told her to. And Karina said, okay, so like if you told her to get on the ground and do 50 push-ups, does she have to do that too? It's literally the same thing. Like, I don't care how ridiculous that sounds to you. You have to think of it like that, because that's what it is. It's like, I'm going to put a mask on my face because somebody told me to. Okay, so if somebody told you to fucking, take a knife across your forehead, are you going to do that? I don't think so. I would hope not. So it's the same fucking thing. It doesn't matter that you think that, something is not that serious or, doesn't need to be a debate. It does, because every time you compromise, you lose. Every time you you give them a little bit, they come in closer, right? So something as little as a police officer telling you to let go of a door or move out of a doorway is as serious as a police officer telling you to do something illegal, right? You cannot just take what they're telling you to do and just do it. You have to use your brain. You have to, be critical and logical and question everything that anybody ever tells you to do. I mean, like, you people have kids. Do you tell your kids that they have to listen to and do everything that every adult tells them to do? Because I would think that would like be pretty risky and dangerous, in certain situations. So why are you doing it? Just because somebody has a uniform on? Like, you act, it's normalcy bias. It is. You act like just because your life has been fine thus far, and because we haven't, been in any kind of civil war thus far, that it's not going to happen, or that like things can't go wrong, or that people aren't violating your rights. Like, you watch what they did over the past 3 years, and you're still letting them tell you what to do without questioning it. It's disgusting. Right. Stop compromising away our rights. Yeah. To cops, rights assertion is a fight. Exactly. Which is why more people need to, like, I hate to use the term wake the fuck up, but wake the fuck up, because every time you're letting a police officer just dictate to you what you need to do and you're not questioning it, you're giving away your rights. You're giving away all of our rights. You're doing all of us a disservice. you need to question everything all the time. It doesn't matter how insignificant the situation seems. That's how we got to where we are today, is because they did the tiniest little they made the tiniest little changes over like a long stretch of time, and we didn't notice it. We just ignored it because they did it. They did such small things that we were like, not that big of a deal, it's fine. And now here we are, like being arrested for peaceful protesting, having cops tell us that we can't enter a building without a muzzle on our face, or, medical records. We got here because of us. We got here because we weren't questioning anything before, or not enough of us were questioning anything before. Now that so many people are awake to what is going on in the world, there's no excuse. There's no more excuses for people to not be fucking standing their ground and asserting their rights, and it's not to say that even cops, it's at the point where I don't even think that the cops know that they're violating your rights half the time, because this shit is so normal to them. They believe, they have been taught and believe to have this authority, this imaginary authority that they don't actually have, Old Andy said, did you see the short from Lackluster showing the scumbags with full body armor walking down the street shooting paintballs at families? No, I don't even know what that is. I feel like I heard of Lackluster, though. Shannon said, people are doing this. They aren't grounded in truth. They are so confused. They say we will not comply, and then they comply with anyone anywhere telling them anything. It's sickening. Yeah, it is. It is. It's like, literally walking into Desi back in May of 2021. Everybody's outside chanting, we will not comply, and then I end up in the doorway with the cop, and I have all these protesters here telling me to move out of the way because the cop asked me to. But you just said, we will not comply? Where? What? I thought we weren't complying. Joa says, I stand up. We know. We know you do. We will not comply. Catherine, comply, dude. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, see, I knew I heard about Lackluster from Mass Accountability. Carly says, I recommend John Darash books. The most recent is Government by Consent. He had several small books about laws, our documents, and how to apply them. Yeah. I've been collecting books, Carly. I'm not really reading so much, but I want to get there. I did finally, after being told that I needed to read the autobiography of Malcolm X for so long by Shannon, I did finally read it and finish it, and it's amazing. And everybody left and right, I think even if you've read the autobiography of Malcolm X before, you need to read it again, like post-COVID, because so much happened back then that is like identical to what's happening now. Like it just blows your mind. And, also we're completely lied to in school about history and Martin Luther King and all of that. And, maybe that's another story for another day, but I definitely recommend the Malcolm X autobiography. Hi. Well, thanks for coming. Truther, yeah, I suppose, but I don't really know. Truther in what sense? I do seek the truth, but I'm going to be talking about many different topics, and I'm in Massachusetts, Boston, and we have a lot going on over here with First Amendment issues and, stuff in schools. And tonight specifically, I was talking about toxic activists because I've been an activist for the past 2 years and have worked with quite a few activists from all ends of the political spectrum. So, yeah, tonight we're talking about toxic activists. Shannon says, yes, truth. Yeah, and I just started this channel literally like a week and a half ago. And I did have a co-host who I consider myself like right-leaning activist, and my co-host was left-leaning, and she leaned out of the show because of a scheduling conflict. So I'm looking for people to be guests on the show, and for potentially another leftist someday that wants to have uncomfortable conversations with me. um, mm, yeah, yeah. Um, no amendment to the Constitution is absolute. FJB 2023. Now there's people regurgitating that shit. People are starting to believe it. It's so sad to see everything collapsing. Yeah. Carly, I didn't see the Malcolm X movie actually because I heard it was like more like a documentary, right? Um, if that's what you're referring to, I assume. I didn't see the movie, but I read the book, and I have like a list and a pile of books that I'm trying to get to next. But we have court cases and kids and uh, all kinds of things going on. Yeah, so I don't know, Shannon, if you think that I left anything out about the toxic activists. I mean, I've been on here for about 45 minutes. So, oh, you joined us on YouTube. The Malcolm X movie came out in the 90s, and no, it's not a documentary. It starred Denzel. Okay. Yeah, so I definitely want to see that. Definitely want to see that. Um, I feel like I know Malcolm X after reading that book, and I feel like I am Malcolm X. I feel like we've been lied to about what he was about and what he did, and that Martin Luther King very well may have been the toxic activist of their time. The one I saw with Denzel Washington, it's about 2 hours. I think you'll like it. I will try to watch that in my spare time. The white lady, non-Muslim, Malcolm. Yes. Yes. And I don't know because I don't really like classify myself as any religion. Like I believe in God. That's about it. I don't call myself anything. I used to say that I was Catholic, but I don't really even know what that means anymore. So who knows? But yeah. So I think that I mean, as far as I can think, those were the toxic activists that I wanted to talk about. I don't know if anybody else knows of different types of toxic activists. Because again, like I said, I feel like people, like right-wing people, don't like to use the term activist or don't like to call themselves activists, or don't even like to protest for that matter. They just like to show up and wave flags and have social events. Yeah, real activists are grassroots working on their own accord, not following groups. Real activists are grassroots working on their own, not following groups. So, like, not groups that follow what others are doing. And I mean, that's what we are. I mean, it's like we are a group, but we're not. We have like people that we work with, but it's not like, I don't know. I never know what to classify us as. We need to use other words other than protest, really. We are direct action applying pressure people. Yeah. Well, we're activists, right? And I know, I feel like maybe is the word protest like used so much lately that it like doesn't really have much meaning anymore. Sometimes we don't have protest signs, right? But I mean, like, isn't protest just to like visibly or audibly be against something? Isn't that, I don't know the definition of protest, but that's what comes to mind when I think of that word, just to like be against something. So I don't know if yeah, I mean, it has a derogatory meaning to right-wing people or people who are like perhaps too good, or they think they're too good to protest, right? To agitate against. Protest is to agitate against. And as far as I know, protests are meant to be disruptive. So why being disruptive is considered derogatory is beyond me, right? We were given the First Amendment for a reason. We were, the Constitution was written for a reason, for us to be able to create public awareness and put on public display when our government is, needing to be dealt with. Shannon says they've made it derogatory. They think they're too good to protest. Remember, the woman said to us, some of us don't like to protest. Yeah, which is disgusting. Like, protesting is like one of the most effective tools that we have to make change, or to make change or to, draw attention to things that are changing and, going the wrong way. Everyday Dems and others see them as trouble or rabble rousers too. And, I use the terms right wing and left wing a lot because that's what everybody is just so accustomed to talking about now is liberals and conservatives and Republicans and Democrats and blah, 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 blah. But I'm just so sick of it. I really want to get out of talking about left and right, which, like, funny because the concept of this show is to be left and right, but it's to be left and right because we all need to come together because we're all the same. There's common ground no matter what. We are all part of the 99%, and the enemy is the 1%. And if we're fighting each other all the time over race and sexual identity and gender identity and sexual, what is the word I'm looking for? Sexual preference or whatever, we're never going to get anywhere. We're never going to win. And I feel like right-wing people say stuff like that all the time. Like, we're not hateful. We're not racist. We're not this. We're not that. And, we need to stop arguing about these things. But then when come face to face with a leftist or a Democrat or somebody from Antifa or somebody from BLM, all they do is argue with them. I was like ridiculed and called a communist and a BLM supporter because I, supported a cause that wasn't a right-wing cause, which is fucking so stupid. If the people that understand that we're in, you know, some kind of a war right now should understand how important it is to mend things between the two sides, because this war that we have between left and right, this imaginary illusion illusion of a war that we have between left and right, is just that. It's an illusion. And it was, the vertical line. I don't know why I'm stuttering so much. The vertical line was put there to perpetuate fighting between the two sides so that we're not paying attention to what the government is doing. I used to say that, the line is horizontal, not vertical, like we're led to believe. It's not left and right. It's top and bottom. It's elite and everybody else. And then even the people in the government on local levels, lower levels, who maybe are not privy to everything that's going on. And they think that they're like a real rebel and a fighter. And, they've gone into government because they wanted to make positive changes for people. If what you're doing is in line with the government agenda, then you were bought, bro. They're trying to turn us into terrorists. I mean, what's the definition of a terrorist at this point? Because I feel like they're trying to just continue to tweak the definition until something so simple as holding a sign is considered terrorism. I mean, I've been arrested 3 times for doing absolutely nothing. And the first time I was assaulted by a police officer and then charged with assault and battery on a police officer. So, I mean, they can put labels on us. They can make lies about us. They can charge us with crimes that we didn't commit. They can keep us held up in court for months upon months, years upon years. Oh, so that reminds me that before I go, I can let you guys know that, first of all, if you're new here, or even if you know me, but maybe this is the first time you're watching the show, I started this show last week. This is the 6th episode. It's called Common Ground. It's supposed to be left and right unite. I did have a co-host, Heidi, who was on here with me up until today. We're doing the show 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, at 10 p.m. now. It was 9 p.m., but it switched to 10 p.m. And we're streaming right now on Facebook and YouTube. For the past couple of shows, I've also been streaming on Twitter. Twitter's really hard. But I also plan on going to like Rumble and Odyssey too, probably next week. Heidi is no longer going to be on the show because of scheduling conflicts, so that really sucks. Because I, really want to have uncomfortable conversations with leftists. That's what I want to do. So I'm looking for somebody who considers themselves to be a leftist or left-leaning, that can have civil conversations and work through things that we agree on, disagree on, or things that we think that we disagree on, or things that we think we agree on. So I'm looking for another co-host. And in the meantime, I'm going to have guests on. Probably most of the things I'm going to be talking about are already known to the people watching, because I don't have a leftist here to argue different points, and I'm not, I don't know what other way to get leftists in my comments. So, I'm just going to like come on and talk about whatever's going on. And Yeah. So Monday, I am going to have a guest. Her name is Janelle. Not sure of the last name at the moment, but she is local. I think perhaps from Randolph. There was an incident where her son was hit by a police car, like ran over as a pedestrian in the street, ran over, and the whole situation that happened with her son has like very many details to it. So I'm not going to get into that part of the story. The reason why I'm bringing her on the show is because after her son was run over by a police officer, and she did not like the outcome of the, how things were dealt with in that situation with the cop that ran him over, she started protesting at, I'm probably going to get this wrong, Randolph. I don't know. She was protesting somewhere. She was protesting in Randolph, I think. And she's going to be on here Monday to tell her whole story. So I'm just going to give a quick summary. She was protesting. She ended up getting arrested after 62 days of protesting and told that she couldn't use a megaphone. She was arrested and charged with 9 different things, like 9 different counts. Or what? Not, no, she had 10 different charges, 10 charges. And there's video of this arrest that I've seen. And all she was doing was protesting and using a megaphone. So she has court next Wednesday in Quincy. So, I'll start asking people now who wants to come to court next Wednesday, because I'm going to court for Janelle, and she's going to be on the show on Monday. And she'll be able to tell her story better than me, of course. I met her through Heidi. So this is somebody who Heidi has been advocating for and, organizing protests and rallies for the past 3 years, because it's been 3 years that her case has been open. Which, makes me nervous for the tiny little 10 months that our cases have been open. So Janelle will be here on Monday, and I'm excited for her to get her story out to other people that haven't heard it over the past 3 years. Carly says, even during our revolution, there was division. British loyalists argued patriots fighting for freedom. They still benefited from the rebellion, even though they disagreed with it. Right. Just how Martin Luther King became the savior, even though Malcolm X was the one that put in the work. I think that those two things relate, or sound the same. But yeah, so it's 11 o'clock. Like I said, I plan on the show being a half hour, but I have no problem with it going further than that. When I do have specific topics for the show, I plan on talking about the topic. And if it's something that I have like a lot to go over, or if I have a guest on, then I'm not going to be responding to or looking at the comments. I'll just save that until the end. And like I said, I try to keep it to a half hour, but if people are still, responding to me in the comments, then I'll probably just stay on, because that's what I do. But yeah, other than that, I think we pretty much covered toxic activists and what activism is, right? A little bit. Lynn says the right wing is split into 2 groups fighting each other. These leaders don't represent their people. We all have more in common than they lead us to believe. Right. And I think it's like so annoying to me and like gross that we call them leaders. I hate when people call politicians leaders. Like, it's a representative, a leader. I don't know. That's how I feel about leaders. Yeah. So, I don't know, maybe if Shannon was listening when I said, do you think that I covered all of the aspects of a toxic activist? Or if she's here now, or if anybody else would like to also add any points that maybe I didn't make about people being toxic to causes and movements. No. Yeah, so I think that it was a good conversation. Thank you for everybody commenting and giving me things to think about. And for Carly's book suggestion. Oh, Shannon has a comment, she says. We will wait, or I will wait. While we're waiting for Shannon's comment, again, anybody who's new here or doesn't already know, I am in Boston. I work with people all over Massachusetts and, have obviously, talked to people through social media all over the country. And we do, a lot of in-person direct action, public awareness campaigns, direct pressure on public officials, a lot of, showing up to public spaces and expressing dissent and making people uncomfortable. And if you want to follow us or learn more, you can fill out the sign up form at wethepeopleofma.org. I apologize. There's not any content on the website because I have a busy life and I do not get paid for any of this. So, contrary to unpopular opinion, this is my full-time unpaid job that I do is activism. So I'm not a web designer and I have no content on the website, but I do plan on putting some eventually. But to stay in contact, go to wethepeopleofma.org. Also, the last live that I did the other night about the CDC health survey that our middle and high schoolers are getting in school. I did that live and streamed it on Facebook and YouTube, and it got taken down from YouTube for medical misinformation. So I will be watching what I say from now on. Shannon says, there was an attempt at a joke to downplay controlled op as though it isn't real or rampant. By me or by the conversation that I had the other night with Melissa? If you pretend controlled op isn't real, you're deceiving everyone. The largest groups and anyone with many members or well-known names are controlled op. Yeah. So, I mean, I feel like if you know us, you've probably heard in one way or another about controlled op. And although it might be a term that you've heard a lot, it's not a term that's to be taken lightly. It's real. It's not a game. This is our lives that we're dealing with. This is our children's future that we're dealing with. And when somebody tries to compromise or sabotage something that we're doing as activists, it is it has a negative effect on everybody, whether you think that any of this affects you or not. It does. It does. It takes a very small people to create change, a very small amount of people to create change. And no matter how insignificant you think that the actions are of people who are taking direct action. When somebody tries to sabotage that, it's a big fucking deal, and it should be taken seriously by other people who are involved. So she says, yes, that was Melissa attempting to snicker at the notion of controlled op as though it's a joke. Yeah, she did. She laughed, and she just laughed it off like it was no big deal. And if people that are watching this right now didn't see the conversation with me and Melissa, I did, I think, take it off of YouTube after it happened, and made it private on Facebook for friends only because it's Massachusetts stuff. So I don't feel like everybody needs to be privy to that conversation that wasn't, watching it live or isn't involved. Perhaps because she is. Exactly. She is. She has done many things, not only with our group of people, but with other groups that she's been involved in to sabotage things that they're trying to do. And she has, trying to like poach and pluck people from groups and create her own groups. And it's just like weird energy and very detrimental to everything that we're doing. And even if you're somebody who supports what we're doing from afar and you haven't been involved in the direct action, but especially if you have been involved in the direct action, you should be concerned. You should be concerned about control op. And, it's great that a lot of us have become friends throughout this journey of, seeking truth and becoming activists accidentally. You know, a lot of us are like family at this point, I feel like. And it's cool to be able to bond with people and have, build relationships with people and consider each other friends. But no friendship is worth allowing somebody to sabotage the efforts of the people who are actually fighting. So that's why that was talked about with Melissa in the conversation. Me and Melissa were friends at one point. I considered her my friend, and then I didn't, because I take my freedom seriously. I take my children's future seriously, and I take activism seriously. And if you treat it like it's a fucking social club and you're gossiping and you are causing people to be led astray from the mission and the focus, then you don't need to be around. Simple. There doesn't need to be like fucking conversations about it. There doesn't need to be reconciliation. Like this is not a friend group. This is not a clique. This is not high school. This is real life. This, like, if you say that we're at war, especially as much as Melissa is one to say that we are at war, this is a war. Why are you not treating it like one? Why are you treating it like a fucking high school friend group situation? That's not what it is. And same goes for anybody who suggests reconciliation. And, we need to work with everybody who's like-minded, and we need to work with everybody who's on our side. Okay, so what are your standards then? If somebody says they're on our side, does that mean that they're on our side? If somebody appears to be like-minded and, like regurgitates the things that we all say, does that mean they're on our side? Or are you going to set your standards a little bit higher and go off of their actions? Okay, if somebody's sabotaging the actions of real activists and people who a lot of people, have, watched and supported and acknowledged, then why bother with people like that? I don't know. I don't know why we continue to be tagged in social media posts with people like that. I don't know why people who are activists and who do participate in real action still want to like socialize and even work with people like that. It's not about personalities. It's not about liking somebody. I've worked with plenty of people that I don't like. Um, it's not about that. It's not girl drama. It's not high school. It's real life. It's like that's a toxic fucking person. That's a person who cares more about their own image than they do about the cause. And I don't need to be reconciled. I don't need to reconcile with somebody like that. Yeah, she's clout seeking. Exactly. Hold on, because I just missed a bunch of comments while I was ranting. When RFK won't come to an event without a certain number of audience members in attendance or money to do so, is he here for the cause? Great fucking point, because now that he announced his candidacy for president 2024, and I'm seeing all of these people overly excited that claimed anti-vaxxer is running for president. Newsflash, he's not an anti-vaxxer. He has explicitly said he is pro-vaccine. And I'm not supposed to use that word. Shh. If you want to know more about the legacy of the Kennedy family taking credit for being phony-ass liars, then watch the James Baldwin movie, I Am Not Your Negro. He touches on it at least twice. Is this a movement to regain our freedom, or is this a fake-ass friendship club? Exactly. How we aren't all what, Shannon? My eyeball. I need to do another show on how we aren't all treating people like the enemy as you try to win the war. Treating people like the enemy as you try to win the war. Lots of groups separated from her due to the reasons that you're saying. Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like it might be a little bit confusing to people when I, talk so much about joining forces with the left and finding common ground with the left. But then like have absolutely no interest in reconciling or finding any common ground with Melissa or, a couple of other people like her. And I like to use the wolf and fox analogy. A fox shows his teeth. A wolf shows his teeth. You never have to question what a wolf is going to do, what a wolf is about, because he tells you, like he like he plans on eating you, right? So what a wolf is about. But a fox will try to fool you. A fox will try to act like they're your friend and then trick you and actually become your enemy. So think of it as, if a leftist is not on my side, at least I have that at face value. I know when I am looking and speaking to the person that they are my perceived enemy, and they're going to be upfront with their thoughts and beliefs, right? When looking at Melissa and people like her, she's lying to me, telling me that she's on my side. She's lying to me, telling me that she supports me. She doesn't support me if she's whispering in people's ears not to work with me. She doesn't support me if she's trying to, poach people from a group of people that have been working together and doing public action together, and create her own thing with the people that have worked with us. That's not it's not respectable. It's not safe. It's not trustworthy. Um, I'm not going to work with somebody that I can't trust. I'd rather work with a leftist who maybe we don't agree on everything, but at least I know that they are, telling the truth. And, I'm not saying that every leftist is telling me the truth either, but, the ones that I've interacted with, I know where they stand. You never know where Melissa fucking stands. Never. So, and she's not the only one. There's a few people who I have cut ties with because in one way or another, they are a detriment or a liability to the cause. And I don't have time for that shit. This is real life. This is real. If we're calling it war, treat it as what it is. Would you want to be fighting a battle next to somebody who you couldn't trust? If we're fighting a battle, why are we not treating it like that? What it is. Something about Mayor Wu. We are trying to win the war, Lynn. Some people are here for clout. See the difference? You need to do another show on how we aren't all fighting for the same things. Erase whatever she may have whispered in your ear regarding me. Well, that's the thing. See, that's the difference between a wolf and a fox. Somebody's not going to whisper something in my ear about somebody that I'm working with and think that I'm not going to go bring that directly to that person's face and find out what's going on. Like I said, this isn't a high school clique. This isn't a fucking girl friends group. Like, if somebody's telling me something about somebody that I'm working with, I'm going to fucking confront them. And if somebody has a problem with something that I do, I would hope that they're going to confront me and that we can figure out a way to work through it. I'm not doing high school artificial bullshit. Shannon said that she misunderstood Lynn's comment. So disregard what she said last, Lynn. Also, anybody that's watching on Facebook, if anybody's watching on Facebook, because all I can see from the comments is Shannon. If you haven't already, please go to YouTube and subscribe to this channel. It's called People's Press Media. People's Press Media. I think that if you search for it on YouTube, you could find it by putting People's Press Media, Catherine and Heidi, or by putting this little link. Yeah, subscribe to the channel, turn on the notifications so that you can see when we go live, because I can go live on YouTube from my phone sometimes if I'm out. I have always primarily used Facebook, but I'm trying to get out onto other platforms now that I'm doing this show and now that I'm doing more lives of conversation and not just direct action type stuff. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Shannon. Okay. So, again, if anybody has anything to add, please let me know in the comments. Otherwise, I am exhausted and I have to get up early in the morning and do all kinds of Easter things. So, I'm I'm perfectly fine to be done now unless anybody wants to add anything else. I will give it a minute. I might even light another cigarette because I've only had 2. It's been an hour and 20 minutes. I've only had 2 cigarettes. I'm definitely due for a third. Thank you for watching, Lynn, too. I appreciate it. And I appreciate that you shared my other video, but that one got taken down. So maybe you could delete that post and share. That stream is still up on Facebook. So if you want to reshare that, you can. Thanks, everyone who's fighting for our freedom. What's UM? Hi. I'll say hi. We're live on YouTube. All right, so if nobody has anything else to say, I think that I'm done for tonight. I will be back on Monday at 10 o'clock with my guest, Janelle. And again, she has court next Wednesday. Not that Janelle. It's a different Janelle. She has court next Wednesday in Quincy. And I plan on going. Anybody else that's available? This is a big First Amendment case, and actually almost not identical, but very similar to the cases that we have. So I'm definitely jumping on board with supporting Janelle and finding out more about the initial reason behind her protesting, which was her son getting hit by a police car. All right. So, and this is Teddy. It's my boy Teddy. All right. Thank you guys for watching. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, People's Press Media. Hopefully we'll be on Rumble and Odyssey next week. And thanks for interacting in the comments. And I'll see you on Monday at 10. Bye.